going live.
The thing that I love about the Wise Guys teams is that you guys have a knack for finding the most passionate founders. They know what they're doing, they believe in what they're doing, and nothing is going to stop them.
It is really intense, I have to say, but I really enjoy it because I feel every day I'm totally evolving in this program, and I see that I have so many weapons already.
It's challenging at times. We come with a strong background of doing a lot of things at once, but it's just amazing to be next to the teams, showing all the creativity you can to help them. So it's not something you have to deliver, it's very creative work, and that's what I'm very surprised that I really like it.
I think the best of the people part always. You already know everything, but here the borders are infinite, just so much things to learn.
One of them is the passion, and the other one is how much we care about each other. Among everything, we are a team that really likes to spend time with each other, and part of that is because we all share the mission.
Because I always had the feeling that this is the family that I have.
This is not a job, this is what we love to do. I think when you can mix that one, it's great. We just have to sometimes understand that hey, there is more people around us, that we have to put some time for them.
For us, it was mainly like a crash course startup MBA, basically, kind of. It's kind of like a bottle of good wine, kind of that keeps getting better all the time.
I mean, Wise Guys team is what keeps me energized through everyday life. When I started working with the startup scene, Wise Guys was my kind of entryway, so I feel like it's a family. I'm like an adopted startup Wise girl.
I just remember one scene from the Tech Chill 2 months ago when you had the demo day with Swedbank. Nearly all the startups were nearly crying when they said goodbye to the mentors. They can really feel the energy, and I think culture beats everything. And I also see Wise Guys as an execution machine.
Yeah, and people ask that why do you do that? There is no money, and very many accelerators have failed after a year or two. I believe that if you really want to do it, if it's your vision, and then you just can't give up, and you will figure it out how it works.
And you have to pitch at the big stage, right?
Yes. My hands are already shaking.
It's too easy for us because this whole month stuff Wise Guys, every day we preaching, it's easy for us.
Now we are only going up, and only the sky is the limit.
This is love for what we do at the end of the day, and this is our life that we want to have.
I already know that when it's over, then I'm gonna cry.
3 minutes of station, now back to work.
Boom! Welcome everyone. Welcome to Startup Wise Guys Q&A about the next and our already second Wise Guys XR program. This is Louise here today with you. I will be the one leading the conversation, and I have gathered a group of awesome people with me who can tell you everything that you want to know about the XR batch. So let's start with a round of introductions so you know who is who. Daria, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Hello, I'm Daria. I'm a part of the scouting team. So we are in charge of selecting startups, facilitating the process, making sure that everyone is on the same page, and we know what to do with you and you know what to do with us. So, and also I have been in my what feels previous life for the first 2 years of my Wise Guys experience. I have been a program manager, so I know how startups go through the program. For the past 2 years, I've been doing scouting, so I very well know how startups go through the selection process. So I'm actually able to cover the journey from the very moment you send application all the way till you graduate. But Giovanni, I will give the microphone to him, and he also knows how in the past 2 years we changed things and how he will be able to support you.
Thank you, Daria. So I'm Giovanni Huri. I'm the managing director of the upcoming XR batch. I've been working with Startup Wise Guys for almost a little above 2 years as a managing director. I did so far 4 batches, and previously I had been working in the Middle East and North Africa, also with a regional accelerator there, and previous to that with tech conferences. As managing director, my main role is to embark you on this journey and be working with you for the whole program and be the key point of support. Will be the hub between the startups and all the resources available to help you achieve your goals. That's like in simple terms. I'll stop here and pass it to Andre.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm Andre Lunev, venture partner XR at Startup Wise Guys. In some sense, I joined Startup Wise Guys a year ago as external partner, but then I transitioned my practice inside Startup Wise Guys to support startups and lead investments into extended reality from the Startup Wise Guys venture capital fund. For us, XR encompasses like 3-dimensional models. VR, AR is the best way to access those models. And also we work with 2.5D interfaces when you access 3D model through flat screen through 2D interface. And beside that, we also looking into companies that work with the data from sensors that those devices providing, or spatial data and making inferences from the spatial data. Also computer vision, kind of big part of XR industry. So yeah, that's my focus, and back to Luisa.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of housekeeping rules. Wherever you are watching us, be it LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, we see your comments. So feel free to use them to ask any of your questions. I am following them, and I will make sure that we answer them. So I already see Joba has joined us, and nice to see you there and testing out the comment section. So it's working. We see them coming in. So yeah, anything that comes to your mind, feel free to ask the questions. But I have my list prepared already. So let's start with the thing that we need to remind couple of times throughout the panel. So either Gio or Andre, what are the most important dates that anyone need to know about the next batch? So applications are open. When are they closing? When the batch is starting, so they know when not to miss something. And Gio is muted.
Yeah, sorry. That's always the trick, with unmuting. So applications are open, as Louisa said, and I think the closing will be on Jan 12th. And then the program will be starting around mid of February. So I think so far we have the 13th of Feb, if I'm not mistaken, and it will go through June 2023.
Yeah, so it's quite a journey, but for sure, even though application deadline is stretching into next year, well, we all know that Christmas is coming, New Year's is coming, everybody's mind gets somewhere like too excited and forgets about everything. So actually know that Daria will walk us through the selection process and how the scouting happens and everything, but we know that we are already accepting teams, selecting them and offering them a spot in the batch, and there are 10 seats to fill. So do not wait till the last moment to do the applications.
I would add here just a small comment that I would encourage everybody to apply as early as possible. This is how you can extract the most value out of the application process itself, because in the end of the day, yes, we kind of received, I don't know, probably 30% of the applications, like in the last 3 days when we were scouting for the last program. But the problem with that for you as a startup is that usually if you go into all the conversations with the budget team, it's like free mentorship sessions. You will get to talk with Daria, with Gio, probably with our tech experts, You will have time to demonstrate your product and basically get some meaningful feedback through this process, which is already valuable. When it comes down to the end of the program, like we are rushing through, we picking the teams and probably spend less time on each of the team. So yeah, like if you want to get maximum out of the application process itself, even if you are not accepted, please apply earlier.
Yeah.
And I can add one little thing before Daria goes on and explain. Then it will make more sense what Daria will go through. That in addition to what Andrew said, is that by applying earlier, you will get a chance to get this feedback, which means if you are not ready yet, you might have the time to work on the things that you need to improve, and then come back at the later stage of the selection, another bootcamp, with the right ammunition, with the right application, let's call it this way, and get through the program. And it happened with a lot of startups that they came in first, they were rejected, they understood why, they worked on it, came back, and actually got the investment. So now you better understand by the
why
explanation
it's so
of that.
important.
Oh,
yes. Well, that's it. Let's then go to Daria. So maybe start with main things. What are we looking for in the startups? So what are the selection criteria besides the angle that Andrea already mentioned at the beginning? Of course, it's extended reality, the vertical focus. But yeah, the main selection criteria. And how does the selection process look like for a startup when they apply, and what they can expect from it?
Happy to. It does seem that I'm not needed here anymore. Gentlemen already know so well what to say. Stealing my speech, but thankfully I have much more to say. My favorite word, my favorite phrase of every single Q&A is apply now, think later. The earlier you apply, the earlier you start getting feedback, and also you have a chance to improve things. But at the same time, as mentioned, there is quite a lengthy selection process. Technically, it doesn't take too much, but imagine the volumes we're having. We have to have conversations with a lot of teams. This means that if you apply now, we might have a conversation with you next week, the initial one. And then after that, you have a conversation with Giovanni, for instance, which will be in another week. And you're adding time to the timeline. And if you apply during the last chance time, this means we will first work with the best of the best startups because, well, unfortunately, most of the seats will be taken already. This means that you have less chances of getting into the program. And at the same time, we have to, in the very short period of time, select out of the how many percentages there are that are applying during the last moment. That means we have less time to process everything as well. But high view level of the selection process is that you, dear startups, apply into our Dealon platform. You can find the link on the webpage, and under us as well, there is a link, startupwiseguys.com/XR. And there, the magic link, apply now. You apply, you fill in the application form, and our application analysts analyze all the inbound, and they initially check for the eligibility for the program. Startups who are eligible for the program should have working product, at least at the MVP stage. You need to have 2 or more co-founders ideally, or team members as well, because doing business alone is very hard. Putting on top of it acceleration program that is 5 months long and still quite intense, even though you get some downtime, it's pretty damn impossible. I mean, you can be a superhuman, but you might burn out during that process, and this is not what we want you to. So you need to have support. Working product, 2 or more people in a team, ideally 2 co-founders. Then you need to have initial traction. That means ideally you're generating some small amounts of revenues, but you might have also pilots with existing current customers, some signed LOI, so something more or less tangible. And you need to target ideally Europe as your first market. Not limited to it, but our most network is in Europe, and this is where we provide the most intros, support, and knowledge. And most of our mentors also come from Europe, so you will be getting those contacts as well. And you need to have XR vertical focus. Unfortunately, if you're doing something else that is outside of our scope, we will not be able to proceed with you, but we might offer you a different program if we have something for you.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to just also jump in with, so talking about the criteria, we have a couple of questions, so I think it would be good to answer them. So one question coming in from Jacob. Yes, Sanjay?
Before I proceed with question, I just wanted to compliment Daria's statement regarding geography, because we do have Africa as vertical, so we also look into that direction, and specifically for XR and its remote nature, I think this connection between two continents also very interesting to explore. We had the team in our first batch out of Cape Town, so yeah, they still want to enter the European market, or there should be some connection between Africa and Europe. I can provide you with some ideas on that. How can you frame this? But in general, yeah, submit your application. Even if it's Africa, it will be definitely considered into the program.
I wanted to kind of expand on geography a bit after some technical details, but since you touched upon it, we also had a question from Isaac about the eligibility. Is it only global, or is it only CE, or it's also global? So just to add even more on what Andre already said, overall, Startup Wise Guys portfolio has 55 different nationalities represented, if I'm not mistaken. And we have had startups from Latin America doing the batch program. I think they're quite amazing, since they were waking up at 2 a.m. and attending the workshops. That, of course, makes it even harder. And especially what Dario mentioned, if you don't have a co-founder, it might make your life way, way more harder. But it's possible. We have startups who have done it. So yeah, it's not restricted. And especially with the XR batch, I think we have expanded even more further away our usual borders where we are. So definitely anyone who's welcome from the XR space, this batch is for you. Yeah. So that's on the geography part. Going back to the selection criteria, one very, very important, which we have a question as well. So Startup Wise Guys is a B2B accelerator, but maybe Daria, you want to take this question. So B2B, B2C, what's our stance there? Maybe, yeah, you want to take this.
Yes, it is in the name, leading a B2B accelerator in Europe. We are purely B2B. It's not that we don't like B2C, but our whole program is designed to help B2B startups. So all the sales materials, everything is about B2B. So the program in itself will not be as useful for B2C startups. This is why we are purely B2B. If you have B2B model and B2C model, and you're generating revenues from B2B, we're happy to talk to you, because there is an aspect we can help you with. And some businesses do that, and then you can apply, and we will see how we can help you and proceed from there. I usually say, my application analysts probably are not as happy that I'm saying it, but if you're in doubt, apply and see where it will go. The worst that can happen is that you get a no from us. The best that can happen, you can get into the program and get an investment and be a part of the amazing Startup Wise Guys family. So if in doubt, apply and see where it will go, because we start knowing you are in our pipeline, and maybe at some point you see the truth in how to do business sometimes, and you pivot to B2B, and we already have seen you, and there is a history with us, and then you can come back, and it's going to be even easier to continue conversation with us. In case of doubt, apply.
I wanted to say that we might actually challenge you, especially if you have this side of you have both B2B and B2C, we will just challenge you, and we have people who will convince you that B2B is the way to go.
Pivot.
Oh, specifically in XR, because, well, for me, like there is a major distinction between B2C and B2B startups, especially in SaaS and software. Like B2B has to provide ROI for the decision maker who takes the buying decision on the company, while B2C products are always emotionally driven. The buying decision is always emotionally driven, and then the amount of effort that you need to test the market with B2C versus B2B is completely different. Amount of capital usually in B2C market is more. And then the last but not least is that my personal thesis about XR adoption is that it rather will happen in the next 2 to 3 years in B2B space rather than B2C, just because of the amount of data that you need to. Well, we can touch on that in our following calls, not today, but in general, we see more potential for XR startups to deploy solutions in B2B right now rather than B2C. There is a tricky point of creator economy when you have like individuals acting as a firm or a small firm because they're trying to build a business or earn something using XR. That's like a gray area. And with that, I would definitely encourage you to apply. We have a company in our first batch XR that at first looks like a game, but we see a lot of potential for creative economy to be built on what they have been doing in virtual reality. So
thank you.
Go for it.
Go for it. Awesome. Thank you so much for expanding on this. Before we kind of move to other questions, there's another. So still on the criteria and what kind of startups do we accept or not? I saw, Andre, that you already answered actually on LinkedIn, but maybe you want to cover this also here for everyone else watching somewhere else. Do we take deep tech startups?
Okay.
So Andre.
Yeah, again, we have example in our current portfolio, or even a couple of them that you can consider as a deep tech startups. For instance, Some Reality or Sense of Space. They develop in the algorithms either on conversion of 3D models or interpretation of your biometrical data and assessments of the human behavior in VR. So in general, deep tech means that you don't have like the product that you can roll out immediately, but you have a roadmap. So and probably you're still experimenting with like what kind of products your deep tech would be embedded. It speaks to also necessity to develop corporate partnerships on the high level when you trying to license your deep tech technology. It's slightly different from B2B SaaS, but what I've seen in XR, I think, yeah, we can review such companies and consider them. It also depends on the traction that you have with grants and because usually deep tech is very research driven. So talk to us.
Yeah, thanks. I like how you say it. It depends. So a lot of things actually. It depends from what is your traction, what are your plans and everything. So that's why we need the time to talk to you. And these people 3 here with me. They are the ones talking with you when you fill in your application. So don't wait too long. But we actually have a good question coming in again, back to the kind of the whole selection process, and there are things like we have the badge, but there is also a pre-accelerator program that sometimes people tend to get invited to or something. So Daria, I would like you to cover this part, and there's also, I will show a question from Java that kind of fits this whole scenario. So still building MVP, have a proof of concept, unpaid pilots. Could this be an option? Maybe still too early. If it's too early, then what happens? So part of the scouting scenarios. Maybe Daria, you can walk us through that.
Happy to. So as you all know, we do have full-time accelerators, the ones that run for 5 months and they come with an investment. But we also have a pre-accelerator. This is an equity pre-program that lasts 8 weeks. It's fully online. You have dedicated mentors on specific topics. You have pre-recorded content. You can apply to it. There is a link on our webpage, but also as a part of the selection process, if we see that there is a potential for the startup, but you still need some time to work on your product, on your business, you need to figure some things out, we can offer you to join the pre-accelerator because we know it will help you. Then you go through that pre-accelerator, and then after that, we are happy to reconsider you for the upcoming program. In some cases, if you apply very early and we offer you to join the pre-accelerator, and then sometimes you even manage to graduate from the pre-accelerator and still try to get into the full-time accelerator, but I think this time it will not happen anymore because the next pre-accelerator is scheduled to start on 9th of January, sorry. So it's already at the end of the selection process. But it's an option, and you can even apply without going to full-time accelerator, without wanting to go there. You can apply for pre-accelerator if you know that you're a little bit too early. So anything that is north from the eligibility criteria, so you might not have a working product, you might have a prototype, or you're a solo founder, you have an idea and you have built the initial prototype and you want to go there, then you will be able to talk to different other founders, get some ideas, improve some things, maybe find your future co-founder. You never know how those things go. So if you know that some important checkboxes for you left unchecked, you can apply for pre-accelerator and we will consider your application. There we also work based on the idea that you need to have B2B focus. Again, most of our content, all of our content is built on for B2B startups. And then you need to have at least a prototype in Figma that is potentially just clickable, maybe not even that. So like the minimum is you need to have an idea and some clickable prototype, let's put it this way.
Yeah. So regarding this regarding this proof of concept, because in XR specifically, like a lot of companies doing some content, or and they probably haven't had built the product yet. So what's important for us, and we had this example also in the previous batch when the company was working on the project basis with the customer, but they had let's say, this first pilot going on. What's important is in the beginning of the program, you should be able to show us and your potential customer something that we can interact with, as Daria said, the Figma or MVP, because without that, any sales conversation with the customer is almost impossible. It becomes just getting to know each other, while you want to know specific things and basically build your feature roadmap based on the inputs into your product. It could be imperfect as a prototype, and that's fine. But and also the second thing, it proves that you can build something, and you have CTO and CEO and business talks with technology. So those companies, it can be a lot of meaning. It can have a lot of meaning for different people, like what is MVP and what is proof of concept. As long as you have something that you can show to the customer, and customer can start considering deploying this into some innovation projects in the company, that's already subject to talk. If it's just a presentation, an idea that you verified only through interviews, but there is nothing clickable, you haven't faced yet the problems that you will face when you start building the product. And we cannot help you with those problems.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have covered selection criteria from all different sides, and as it was repeated multiple times, so we can actually check things. If you fill in the application, we can see what you are saying, what's happening with your startup, and then we can figure out what's the journey forward together. So, but what is it that we actually offer? If you apply and if you get selected for the program, what does it mean? Let's start with yes, Daria.
I haven't covered the selection process in itself.
Yeah, yes, I know. I'm just being very aware of the time. But okay, we can. No. Okay, we can. Yeah, we can do a quick run through till the moment that you receive your you are accepted in the program email. So Daria, go.
Yeah, you apply, we ask you some questions, then we usually invite startups for the pitch day. Either you will have to pitch to us your idea and then we get to ask your questions. In some cases, we ask you to do the product demos, and again, we ask you some questions. So we change the format of it how we see fit. I'm enjoying XR products, so we do the product demos currently. And after that, if everything goes well, you get invited to the technical due diligence, because we do invest into scalable technological solutions. We need to make sure everything is nice and pretty on your tech side. Then you have conversation with Giovanni. He checks your business side. After that, we might have a conversation with Andrei. He checks your XR vertical side. And after that, there is a grand finale for the selection process for most startups. It's a selection bootcamp. This is a full day event for startups. You present your business, and then you have one-on-ones with all the Wise Guys team members and some external people. We collect all the feedback, and at the end, we create a decision. After the selection bootcamp, usually within a week, we tell you, is it a yes, is it a no, is it a maybe? And during that selection that we're running, so until January 12th, we have 3 selection bootcamps. So ideally, you apply as soon as possible, and you get to the first one, and you get the most chances to get into the program. But after each selection bootcamp, we select a bunch of startups who we already make an offer, and we proceed forward.
Thank you. This explains very nicely when Andrei said that if you apply timely, this is like a mentoring. Gio, I think, also mentioned it. So it's like a mentoring that you already get even before getting into the program itself. So you get to talk with a lot of people, and it can be very, very helpful for your future growth. Yeah. So the program itself and the deal. So maybe I also saw some questions about the deal. So what is the deal, the investment deal that we are offering startups? I don't know whom of you, Gio or Andrei, whom wants to cover this part. So what is the deal? And yeah, well, the numbers.
I can go for it. So the deal is up to 100K, up to convertible note. It's divided in cash and in kind. So the in kind is mainly to cover the part of the program, and with that comes the opportunity to get a follow-on funding of up to 250,000 euros. I think I'll answer it briefly. Now, I've seen a question, someone asking about how much equity. So
equity, I wanted to ask. So we had a question about that.
So I can say that we aim to take minimal equity in the company, and it changes it's a deal by deal case.
So if I may here a little bit. So yes, like it's up to 250 follow-on investments, but I think the deal itself initially is 100K, which splits between 65 in cash and 35 in kind. And in kind, what does it mean? Like the 5 months of the program is quite intense executive MBA, which is catering to the entire team of the company, and basically taking out all the theory that you would face in one and a year or 1.5 year like executive program. So I had both like accelerator program and executive MBA. What I can say here, it's you take an advice from the company, from us, who are putting the skin in the game, investing in you, and we provide you with advice. In general, if we take like an average startup, I would say by joining the program, you would benefit of getting where you go in 9 months, probably instead of 12 that you plan right now. But actually, if you had set up your goals not right from the very beginning, you will recognize that probably 6 months down the road, you will adjust your goals, and you'll probably get there like in the next 12 months, which is 18. And then if with the help of the accelerator, and you have only like 3 people or 4 people in your team, if you get where you go in 3 months faster, that definitely justifies this investment that you make into education. And basically, you are not paying out of your pocket. We invest invest those money in the company. So think of us as a university that not only gives you resources to build your workplace, let's say, but it also gives you the money to pay the educational part. So going back to the simple math calculation, so if your team are like 3 or 4 people and you pay them like 3,000 euro per month, it already in 4 months you will recoup your investments even at the basis level just by accelerating. So, and there is nothing more important than time when you build a startup. If you're able to gain the speed to market and the time when you build this product, it's invaluable. And I've seen a lot of startups like in the seed and Series A stage that still are struggling communicating the vision and the business case to investors. This is definitely where our program comes with a great value.
Yeah, that's a very nice intro to my next question that I wanted to ask Gio to cover. So the offer itself. So I see Andres also, who asked about the equity, asked what's the offer. So it's both, and actually it's 3 things. So there's the investment part, which we already covered. Then there's the program part, which I would like Gio to dive deeper a bit. And the third big part is actually the community that you get to be a part of. So we already have more than 350 startups in our portfolio. That means more than 700 founders that have already gone through the journey or are also trying now to build their startups. So you have access not only to the mentors and also Wise Guys team and the mentors that are involved in the batch, but actual other founders who are struggling with the same things or are building their startups in the markets that you are interested in. And that's also a very big additional value to the whole offer. But going to the program itself. So Gio, could you walk us through how the program looks like, how intense it is? Maybe cover also the parts, what kind of different events happen in sense of workshops and everything, and the content as well. Andre kind of sketched in a bit some parts, but walk us through the whole 5-month journey. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go through it as simply as possible, because it's easy to get lost into the details of the program usually. And please add whatever I'm missing here. But the program, as Luisa said, is a 5-month hybrid program. A hybrid, what does it mean? It's a combination of in-person and online. Usually the in-person periods are at the beginning and at the end, sometimes in the middle in case it's possible. But why at the beginning and at the end? Because at the beginning it's very important to spend time together, get to know your peers, get to know the key people in the Startup Wise Guys team. Most importantly, get to know each other as a batch, right? Because as Luisa said, community is, workshops and content is important, but the biggest asset that you have is your peers and the community and the alumni, where you can drag a lot of value out of it. Now, the end, of course, it's important to wrap things up in person, right? And work together for 2-3 weeks at the end of the program. So I will move on to the next part, which is the program itself. How is it divided? It's divided in 4 modules, which focus on 4 main pillars, which are sales, pitching, fundraising, and company building. So in sales, you will be able to, the focus is to help you build a sales strategy, defines your goals in terms of sales and the gaps that you need to work on, and then work with specified and designated mentors to help you reach those goals. Pitching, of course, the goal is to end with a perfect pitch that is delivered that will help you fundraise after the program. Company building involves everything from building the strong team, the culture behind it, and so on and on. And fundraising, it's also a whole module dedicated to help you understand your fundraising need, how to approach investors, how to deal with negotiations, and so on and on. Okay. Now, there are different activities throughout the programs, which range from workshops, one-on-one sessions, seminars, community building activities. But the main thing that we focus on when building a program is providing customized support, which means there's, of course, some standard sessions that they could be relevant for all the startups at different stages, different solutions. But it's important to complement that with customized support that would fit into the needs of each one of you. And for that, as part of the program, we do weekly one-on-ones. It's mainly with me and with Andre to understand what do you need simply and go out there and get you what you need, right? So I will mainly stop here. So I will not drag a lot for the sake of time. If there's any additional questions about the program itself, I'm happy to answer those more in details.
I wanted actually one more thing that I would like you to cover. So there are workshops, one-on-ones, peer-to-peer sessions, sprints. Actually, a big part of our batch or program are two sprints that we do. Maybe you can explain a little bit this, because I think those are a bit more intenser weeks than the usual ones, and I think it's quite an interesting thing in the program.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think the sprints are, based on the feedback I received so far from 30 plus startups, the sprints are the most valuable part of the program, and we're trying to do more of them. Or so far we have a design product focus sprint, which happens at the beginning of the program. And in brief terms, this is a full week that you will spend on solving a question, a topic that is interesting for you, that is priority for you, that you need to solve. Right? There's a whole range of things, and this depends from startup to startup. There's a sprint methodology that you will learn to adopt. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's not a one-time thing. Yes, you will do it as part of the program, but this is something, if you've not been doing with your team, you can still do it after the program or even later on. Now, the second type of sprint that we do is a market engineering sprint, which is focused on redefining your problem, a solution, better understanding the market size, your competition analysis, and it's very practical because at the end of the day, you will have some kind of playbook, very important information that you will be using in your deck, in your presentation. That's very practical. 1 week also that you will be dedicating for all things market. We were thinking about also introducing some kind of sprint dedicated to sales. That's something that we've been cooking. I don't know if I answered your question. And one more thing that also you talked a lot about commitment and dedication and the load throughout this program. I would say it's a full-time job kind of. So you would need to be committed to this program in order to benefit from it simply. It's not a school. So, and I try not to, the average age is pretty high in the matter of fact, and it's not a school, but you need to be dedicated. The first period is going to be challenging because you still need to juggle between program and also, your business. But after a couple of weeks, you'll get the right frameworks in order to do that. I hope I answered your question, Louisa. Andre was.
Yeah, Andre, you wanted to add something.
Well, specifically in XR batch, because it's dedicated to one umbrella technology, which is quite broad, but still quite narrow in terms of what you can do in B2B SaaS. We implemented a roadshow in the end of the program when we all together went and presented all the startups at AWE in Lisbon. Prior to that, we did couple stops in Madrid and Malaga afterwards, where we met with local companies, and actually we also did like the local discovery in Lisbon, where we talk with local startup ecosystem players, but also with large companies like Telco or WPP in Lisbon or Google in Madrid. So this is the parts where we facilitate that mentorship by organizing those collective meetings and also exposing the entire XR industry to the people who probably haven't considered that yet to a certain extent, but they have interest to work that towards exploring this. And it's very complementary because I can tell you, like, if you join another events, how those companies in the batch complement into each other. And this is something specific to XR probably, because here during the program, we saw a couple collaborations inside the batch when people did projects together. And it's also a matter of sharing collective expertise about the markets, about technology. In terms of the curriculum and intensity, I would say that a safe estimate would be to allocate like at least 30% of your weekly working hours specifically to the program. At some point, except the sprint weeks, because for the sprint weeks, we require you to have full focus on the program. We managed to secure 1 day off during the week. Like we decided that Wednesday we don't do any activities, so people can actually be focused only on the job. But also, it's not like a school in terms of the content that you are provided with. It's practical frameworks that are delivered within a short, let's say, between 1 and 2 hours, but usually it's like 1 to 1.5 hour framework. It's very practical. You can apply it, and then you have a one-on-one session with each workshop
mentors.
Coach. Mentor, mentor or coach. I would say rather coach in this regard, where you can address your specific questions regarding this specific workshop and have also practical input on your situation. So like for us, each workshop is entire day. For you, each workshop is 1.5 hours plus half an hour one-on-one. And then, of course, you need to implement those things into your business activities, because this is why you receive that. But I think the collective feedback was really helpful, and I mean, from the startups in the cohort. We will have actually the discussion, and this is like a short plug. We will run an event next week on Thursday evening, where myself, Luis, and Giovanni will participate, and also several startups from our cohort. It will be on AWE Live platform, but we will publish the link to that event also here in comments. Just follow our activities on LinkedIn. It will be a really insightful conversation. You will be able to ask questions as well to the startups who were in the program.
Yeah, well, you jumped already to the end, but yes, we need to be very aware of the timings. Just to recap both what Gio and Andrei said about the program, and so you go through, if you joined us later, so you can you will be able to watch this whole discussion. It stays live on our LinkedIn page, or sometimes it's easier to find the videos on our YouTube account. So just find Startup Wise Guys page there, and you can watch the whole video. So quick recap: you apply, go to our startupwiseguys.com/XR page. There's a magic apply now button. You click that, and then the scouting team with Daria in the lead, they sort you through or ask more questions or direct you to the next appropriate call where you need to apply. You will be invited to a pitch day. If you get through that, you have due diligence calls, technical, XR-related, business-related calls. Then there's a selection bootcamp. If you get through that, you get an invitation. You talk about the deal, and then you start the program middle of February. Was it right, Gio? So the program starts there. Why I wanted to recap is that this program, it's a hybrid program. So it means that there's a lot of content happening online, but we really value the parts of on-site meetings. So for this batch, we won't have one specific location that we can already tell you which place is going to be, because we have seen a lot of like bigger companies being open to welcome you there and meet you. So it might be Lisbon, it might be Malaga, maybe somewhere else, as we saw with the previous batch. That's something that we will know when the program comes closer. But there will be weeks where you meet on site with your batch. You actually can connect, build closer relationships, build a smaller XR batch family, and then you have those intenser weeks on site, then are intense content weeks online, and then you also have implementation weeks to actually process all the information that you have received and make it work for the good of your startup. So that's a quick recap of everything. Application deadline, I am reminding, it's January 12th. But we are very aware of the Christmas, so don't postpone it for too long. And we are already selecting the teams. There are limited amount of the spots. So yeah, don't wait too long. Let's cover the last questions that I saw. But for anyone else who has any questions, well, there are two ways how to go about it. Either you find us on LinkedIn, or write to Startup Wise Guys and on social media, and we can try to get your answers, or you actually apply and you start the actual conversation about your startup, because a lot of times it depends on your situation and a lot of things need to be discussed. On this note, let's cover a question from Tumelo, and we had actually another one tied with investments. So maybe Andrei, you could take this question.
Let's run through the questions like quickly.
Yes.
Is safe for the convertible note. So our standard deal is a convertible loan agreement, CLA. We always open to negotiate if there is a basis for that. Like, for instance, if you had safe with your previous investors, we can review that. There might be additional letter to that, but it's feasible. Discount and conversion, those are really minor details. In order to answer to that question, I would say you need to go to our webpage and read our values. One of the values, we are founder driven, and basically we here for the long term and for the long game. In our best interest is to support you to negotiate the terms that enables you to raise the following round, because we are the minor investor in you and we are on your side. I don't want to go into details because it's a matter of like a separate workshop. Can we go for the next question?
Yeah, there was a question about the use of the fundings. Are there any rules from our side?
No, the cash you receive is cash on your bank account. Whether we trust you that you will use this wisely or not is the matter of whether you get this funding from us and also from other investors. We are not interfering with how you would use those funds afterwards. We provide you with some advice, but there is no requirements on that.
Thank you. And then we have a question. When is the next batch happening? Well, we need to still make this one happen.
Great question. So actually in the next 12 months, our ambition is to have like 10 batches across 6 verticals, which is general B2B SaaS, it's sustainability, fintech, cyber, industry 4.0 and extended reality. The next XR batch in our program unlikely to happen earlier than next fall, I would say, because if we graduate by June, then summer is not the best time. So if you want to apply, I don't see a reason to postpone it. Do it right now. In terms of whether there are other programs that cater to this specific vertical in Europe, I'm not aware of them. Like in a structured way, there are multiple programs that take XR startups along other startups. But I think there is a value of being with your peers in the same industry, and this is one of the values that we provide.
Yeah, and I think on this note, important, maybe that you wanted to say the same, I wanted to say about the pre-accelerator program. So if you apply right now and if you are too early, if we like you and we see that you're coachable and we can work with you and you like us, that's also very important. So the selection process is also for you to evaluate us. And if there's a match, but you might be too early for this program, we have pre-accelerator programs running. We'll put you through that batch. It's equity free of charge. We work with you through that program because we want to see you grow. So don't wait for another batch that's gonna open. Apply now, and we will work with you. Maybe there you want to add something else, but yeah.
I think this is who asked also about if I don't have MVP. If you don't have MVP, I suggest you apply straight away for pre-accelerator, and then the next program is planned to happen on 9th of January. We will be more than happy to put you there. You can also mention my name. There is a question about where you found out, and you can say that Daria during the Q&A told me to apply.
Oh, I will love that answers. That very specific, Daria, during the Q&A, because then I know that also marketing did its part.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, the three of you, for joining this Q&A. It was a very good conversation. If any questions are left unanswered, as we said, apply. Applications are open till January 12th, but take Christmas into account and being into celebratory mode. So please apply before. Couple of notes, as Andrei already mentioned. So there will be a couple of events where you can meet us again, or actually our first XR batch startups. So there's already an event, fireside chat with Cross Creators team happening tomorrow evening. So you can listen in and hear how that team did. Then the next week, there's an event at Avid Live. So if you follow us on social media, you will see under the events, we will push those messages out, or you can actually also, if you go to startupwiseguys.com/XR, if you wait for a bit, there a pop-up shows up where you can subscribe for a newsletter through which we send XR specific news. So we will be also informing you about these events through that newsletter. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Andrei, Gio, Daria. Thank you so much. And let's wrap this up with a nice after movie after one of our batches, and you will feel the vibe of the batch and what it means to be a part of the family. But thank you, and see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody ready?
Wait. I think we missed.
Hi, my name is Alexa, and I'm the MD of the batch. My brightest memory of the batch is connected to the progress day, when teams were supposed to share a little bit of the personal information before the official pitch, and the most serious person of this batch takes the guitar and starts singing.
So there was this Friday meeting with the startups, and for some reason, all of us decided to wear hats on that day. A psychologist was supposed to join us half an hour later, and when she did, she quite quickly understood that she's in the right place.
SWG has been fun. It's been interesting, it's been crazy.
The thing that we learned is how to do a lot of things at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Just like this.
I met a lot of friends, a lot of mentors, a lot of great people, but my favorite memory is Ringi's dance video.
During one of the first kind of remotely held parties that we had a magician over that was doing some crazy magical tricks over Zoom. All of the batch members watching him, laughing, bonding, like that image will always stick with me. That was the day we kind of started bonding as a batch.
I would say the team from Wise Guys made it greatly, that we were engaged, we got a lot of feedback, we got a lot of cool stuff, and we had a nice community.
Our journey has been pretty much like a Chasing Unicorns movie. We learn something, or we find out something new, and then we pivot it. Despite having 100% online accelerator, we still feel very connected with our batch members, and the dance battles were awesome, and we're definitely gonna miss you guys.
Probably in the moments like this, it's already a little bit past midnight, preparing myself for tomorrow's pitch session.
But perhaps the best memories are the times when we were helping each other out and working together as a team.
Awesome to work with other startup founders. You get to see other problems. Everybody is at a little bit different stage. We loved it and we were successful. So join Startup Wise Guys.
Amazing journey for us, and I would say how we supported each other and how we were like a family every time we had a news, when we had a success, and when we had the investor news. Thank you so much.